Hello, my dears. Take a moment to pause from your busy day and settle in comfortably. I have a story for you today that will warm your heart, remind you of the unbreakable bonds of family, and show how strength and love can triumph over even the deepest cruelty. If you're listening, drop a comment below telling me where you're tuning in from, whether it's a cozy kitchen in Lahore, a bustling street in Karachi, or somewhere far across the oceans. We wish you a truly pleasant and heartfelt listening experience. The winter winds howled fiercely through the rolling hills of the Appalachian Mountains that December evening in 2024. Snow had begun to fall heavily, blanketing the narrow, winding roads in a thick white shroud. I gripped the steering wheel of my weathered old Chevy pickup, the one my late husband Robert had bought new back in the 90s, as I made my way home from town with bags of flour, sugar, and fresh greens for the holidays. The heater barely worked anymore, but I didn't mind. These mountains were my home, and I'd navigated them in worse weather than this all my 62 years. My name is Beatrice Thompson, though most folks around here just call me Bea. I'm a widow now, raising my grandson alone since his mama, my only daughter, Lila, passed too young from cancer 5 years back. Lila had been my pride and joy, a bright nurse who moved to the city and married into money. Her husband, Victor Langford, came from one of those old, wealthy families. The Langfords owned half the timber mills and real estate in the state. Big houses, fancy galas, the kind of life where money flowed like rivers after rain. But from the start, Victor's mother, Evelyn Langford, looked down on us. With my deep brown skin, curly hair streaked with silver, and roots going back to sharecroppers and freedom fighters, I was never refined enough for her tastes. Common stuck, she'd sneer when she thought I couldn't hear. Racism wrapped in silk and pearls, that was Evelyn. Lila rarely visited after the wedding, always excusing it with work or Victor's schedule. But she called every Sunday, and we'd talk for hours about little Jamal, my grandson, who was 8 now and the light of my life. He had his mama's smile and his daddy's height, already towering over kids his age. That night, as the snow piled up, my ancient landline rang just as I pulled into the driveway of our modest farmhouse, the one Robert and I built with our own hands. "Hello, Beatrice speaking." A woman's voice, shaky and unfamiliar. "Ma'am, this is Nurse Ramirez from St. Mary's Hospital in Charlotte. We have your grandson, Jamal Thompson. He's been in an accident, bad one. Car went off the road in the storm. Your daughter-in-law, no, wait, your daughter Leela was listed as mother, but, ma'am, there's more. Leela's husband, Victor, is here too, but the boy keeps asking for Grandma B. You need to come quick." My blood turned to ice. Jamal? In the city? Leela had been gone 5 years. How could her name still be on his records? And Victor? Why hadn't he called me himself? I didn't waste time asking questions. I bundled up, kissed the photo of Robert on the mantle for luck, and headed out into the blizzard. The drive to Charlotte took nearly 4 hours in those conditions. Every mile a prayer whispered under my breath. When I burst into the emergency room, there he was, my sweet Jamal, bandaged and bruised, one arm in a cast, lying pale in a bed too big for him. Victor stood nearby, looking disheveled in his expensive coat, talking to doctors, and beside him was Evelyn, her face a mask of false concern. "Grandma!" Jamal cried weakly when he saw me, reaching out with his good arm. I rushed to him, holding him close, careful of the wires and tubes. "I'm here, baby. Grandma's here." Victor approached hesitantly. "Beatrice, thank God you came. It was a bad skid on ice. Jamal's got a broken arm, concussion, some cuts, but he'll be okay." I looked at him hard. "Why was he with you in this weather, and why didn't you call me sooner?" Evelyn interjected smoothly. "We were bringing him for a holiday visit. Surprise for you. Tragic timing with the storm." Something didn't sit right. Jamal clung to me tighter, whispering, "Grandma, I don't want to go back there." Over the next days in the hospital, as Jamal recovered, pieces started falling into place. Victor visited often, bringing toys and promises. Evelyn hovered like a vulture, But one night, when they thought Jamal was asleep, I overheard them arguing in the hallway. "You fool," Evelyn hissed at Victor, "bringing the boy here without clearing it first, if she digs too deep." "Mother, I had no choice. The trust fund, grandfather's will specifies he stays with family if Beatrice contests custody again." Custody? My heart pounded. 5 years ago, after Leela died, Victor had swooped in with his fancy lawyers, claiming I was unfit, too old, too poor, living in the backwoods. He'd painted me as unstable because of my grief. The judge, an old friend of the Langfords, granted him full custody. I fought, but money talks louder than love sometimes. I'd only seen Jamal a handful of times since, supervised visits that broke my heart. But now Jamal was whispering secrets to me when we were alone. "Daddy's mean sometimes, Grandma. Locks me in my room when I cry for you. And Grandma Evelyn, she says I'm not real family, says my blood's diluted because of Mama's side. She hits me with a belt when Daddy's not looking." Rage like I'd never known boiled up in me. My Leela, beautiful, kind Leela with her warm brown skin and fierce photos at fundraisers, while embezzling funds behind the scenes. Jamal had overheard phone calls about offshore accounts and cooking the books for the family foundation. I remembered my own mama's words. "When the storm comes, don't run from it. Stand tall like the oaks and let your roots hold strong." My roots went deep, back to great-grandparents who escaped slavery, fought in wars, built lives from nothing. I called my cousin Marcus, a retired detective in Atlanta with connections everywhere. "Need your help, cuz. It's time to uproot some weeds." While Jamal healed, I played the doting grandmother, visiting daily, bringing homemade pies and stories. Evelyn relaxed, thinking I was no threat. Victor even suggested I could have more visits if I didn't cause trouble. But Marcus dug deep. Bank records, anonymous tips to authorities, old emails. Turns out Evelyn had been siphoning millions from the Langford Foundation for years. Fake donations, shell companies, even using it to fund a secret life with a lover in Europe. Victor knew some, turned a blind eye for his inheritance. And the abuse? Neighbors' reports, school counselors' notes suppressed by Langford influence. We gathered it all. Photos of Jamal's bruises, I documented carefully, financial trails, witness statements from former employees fired for questioning Evelyn. Then came the confrontation. Marcus arranged it. Me, him, and Victor's father, old Mr. Reginald Langford, the patriarch still holding the purse strings despite his age. We met in a neutral spot, a quiet diner in the city, public enough for safety. Reginald's face crumpled as we laid out the evidence on the table. Printouts, photos, recordings from Jamal's nanny cam toy I'd snuck in during a visit. This can't be," he muttered, but his eyes told the truth. He knew his wife was ruthless, but not this far gone. "What do you want?" he asked finally. "Justice," I said firmly. "Full custody of Jamal to me, no contest. The foundation cleaned up, money returned where it belongs, charges if needed, but quiet if you cooperate. Evelyn out of our lives forever, and a trust for Jamal, real one, that I control until he's grown." He stared long and hard, then nodded. "Done. I'll handle Evelyn. She'll take a retreat abroad, permanently. The boy deserves better than this rot." Within weeks, it happened. Custody papers signed over without fight. Evelyn retired to a villa in Italy, stripped of power, allowance barely enough to scrape by. The foundation scandals hit the news quietly, restitutions made, no charges thanks to Reginald's pull, but her reputation shattered. Victor? He slunk away, remarried quick to some socialite, but lost much in the divorce Evelyn forced on him indirectly. He sees Jamal occasionally, supervised, but the boy calls him Mr. Victor now. Jamal and I moved back to the farmhouse, bigger now with some settlement money. New rooms, a swing set, even a pony he named Leela. He thrives here, running free in the hills, learning to fish and garden like his great-grandpa Robert taught me. Reginald visits sometimes, bringing books and puzzles, sitting quietly on the porch watching Jamal play. His eyes soften when he sees the boy, sees Leela in him, maybe even regrets the poison his family carried. Our blood, the blood Evelyn called diluted, is rich with history. Survivors of chains and hate, builders of dreams from dirt. It flows strong in Jamal, in me. It's the blood of warriors, of lovers who defied odds, of mothers and grandmothers who protect fiercely. That common stock turned out to be the strongest tree in the forest, roots deep, branches reaching high, weathering every storm. Little Jamal's laugh echoes through these hills now, free and pure, and that's the greatest victory of all. If this story touched your heart, give it a like, share it with someone who needs reminding of family strength, and subscribe for more tales every week. The next one is waiting for you right on your screen. Take care of yourselves and your loved ones. Stay strong, stay kind, and stay happy.